Hello everyone, I'm Roxanne Crow, and I'm here to help you understand how you as a manager can use diversity to your advantage and how to understand what to do when there are challenges you're faced with. Often managers question why diversity is such a focus on subject. This is a great question. To understand the training, it's best to understand why it's so important. First, a manager must note that similarities and differences both give unique benefits to the workplace. When the culture of employees differ, decision-making is heightened due to the multiple views and debate involved. When recruiting diversity in the company, current culture adds to the inclusive culture, making new applicants want to work at the company and thus adding to its desirability. Both of these advantages add to the strategic competitive advantage an organization gains from having a diverse workforce with unique views and knowledge, skills, and abilities. Similarities in culture adds to a shared connection between employees, and collaboration can be more practical. Knowing how to balance similarities and differences can lead to better management of conflict and how to create a culture that better manages change. This is a vital part of managing an effective team of people, and knowing how much is enough is what creates true advantage. Getting to know each employee is a great step in understanding their individual perspectives. When you take the time to understand where your employees are coming from, you can make better decisions in the future for them. You can even prepare yourself when it comes to behavior or possible problems. When you take the time to get to know a person's culture, you establish a better trusting relationship. Knowing your audience is how you know how to communicate with them. Knowing the right communication style is how your message or feedback is delivered effectively. Many barriers exist for communication, and diversity can lead to some of these. Language, semantics, and jargon barriers tend to be major communication blockages. Many cultures do not understand the same slang words or even sayings as one another. Knowing what to say and how will get your message through in a clear and understanding fashion. Language or communication barriers add friction, dysfunctional conflict, and misunderstandings between employees, teams, and managers. This affects upward and downward communication. When communicating downward, managers usually are trying to provide a form of feedback or deliver information. This could mean explaining a decision that's being made. If this is done in a way that the employee does not understand, it becomes ineffective. Moreover, if it is delivered in a way that makes the person feel uncomfortable, it can lead to stress, conflict, and turnover. Different cultures prefer various ways of communication. Some cultures prefer to keep communication business orientated. And this is with little relationship development and more direct message. Others feel more comfortable when a manager is softer and takes time to establish a relationship when communicating. Upward communication can also be affected by diverse differences in communication. If an employee needs to provide feedback, progress of goals, or current problems, understanding how they feel most comfortable doing this will get the best information from each individual. Barriers in communication are focused by semantics, word connotations, tone differences, and differences in conflict resolution when referring to diversity. Knowing these exist is a key step in knowing how to overcome them. Managers can take the time to be clear and concise when speaking. If employees prefer more direct communication, using words like absolutely or totally give the feeling of precision. Those who prefer a softer approach would find comfort in words like maybe or sort of because they are less definitive. There are many tools a manager has for delivering feedback. The 360 method of feedback allows employees to receive performance feedback from their supervisors, peers, coworkers, and customers anonymously. It is a common Western tool, but might not work in all cultures. So how do you know how to make your feedback the most effective? There are 4 simple points to keep in mind when delivering feedback to employees. The first is to simply ask. Asking the employee their own preference and when they are comfortable seems like a simple answer, but it is commonly overlooked. Knowing if they are open and ready for feedback will help them prepare. Next is to be specific. Once the employee is ready to receive the feedback, make sure you communicate it to them with specific details. If there was defined observations, make it clear when delivering the message. Next is the impact of employee behavior. After the employee has been made aware of the feedback, let them know how it impacts the team, organization, managers, and even customers. This helps them to better understand why the behavior is being discussed. And last is discuss the next steps. Regardless of whether the behavior being addressed is positive or negative, if you ask open-ended questions, it gives opportunity for the employee to take corrective action. You should suggest correction when behavior is negative and give encouragement if it is positive. Now that you understand what diversity is, it's time to discuss how you, the manager, can affect the employees of the organization with the best practices for diversity. As discussed before, diversity is a great way to get to know your employees. To use this to the best of your advantage, understanding what diversity means for your organization will help you mold the two together. There are a few areas in which you can get to know your organization's diversity needs better. First is with what specific diverse skill sets they have. What exactly is the organization looking for in their diversity initiative? What knowledge, skills, and abilities are important to the company? These are questions that can help lead you to understand the company's views. This area focuses on the more secondary diversity traits such as education and experience. Next is to know your workforce background. Small shifts in diversity can mean big changes for the organization, so a manager must be sensitive when making decisions that impact diverse cultures. Employees are sensitive and resistant to change, which must also be taken into account. When you become aware of the cultural background of your current employees, future decision making can be more informed. The best course of action is to combine these two areas of understanding. This covers more ground, keeping you well informed and in tune with the employees and organization. When there is a diversity plan and standards in place, specific goals should be set to best ensure the plan's success. Using metrics and benchmarking to constantly evaluate the diversity in the organization and the goals created. Non-met goals can be worked towards and future goals can be set to constantly keep growing. Human resource managers can be alerted to changes needed in hiring to meet these goals. After setting goals, they should be well defined and stated clearly. Policies and expectations should be direct and non-confusing to help alleviate any miscommunications. Or language barriers with different cultures. Teamwork and employee reference improve when there are specific policies for training, communication, and conflict resolution. Managers are not the only ones who should understand diversity and be trained in it. Employees greatly benefit from understanding diversity within their organization also. When training, employees should focus on these 3 key points. When hiring new employees, they should be given information about policies and expectations of diversity. This helps integrate them into the culture immediately and gives each employee an idea of their person-organization fit. There should be annual compliance standards set by the organization. This way, everyone will be reminded of the set goals for the diversity plan and have the ability to reflect on the progress and impact. Fun suggestions to keep employees involved in this practice are workshops that incorporate role-playing and employee activities that give them a voice and an output for issues to be addressed. A one-time training session is not enough to keep diversity effective. Diversity is a changing subject, especially in a global organization. Employees should have a regular training and organizational material available. Free ongoing education is a suggested course of action, and the ability to let employees voluntarily add an education, even with the possibility of reward, is a great motivational tool. There are some specific areas you can add on to your own management style to make you the most effective and diversity managing you can be. The ability to adapt to various types of employees is a beneficial management technique that will increase your effectiveness in a global market. Knowing when to be more direct or indirect with which types of cultures is an example of how to use this. Because of social categorizations, diverse teams can have biases that cause conflict when working together. Some of this conflict can be useful for innovation. If it becomes dysfunctional, a manager's conflict resolution skills must be honed to deal with this situation. Diversity committees aid in conflict resolution and overall positivity. These committees help managers and the organization create an inclusive environment and encourage communication, bring awareness of diverse groups and issues. Most importantly, you can create your own diversity plan for your employees and department. There are 3 key areas to use to make the most of diversity when doing this on your own. One is to develop employees to their maximum potential. Next, foster an inclusive work environment, and also work towards creating an organization that individuals seek out to work for. In the end, diversity is an ever-evolving concept that becomes constantly more important as workforces shift into globalization. Creating an environment that encourages diverse employees will help the organization strategically and help you manage the teams you supervise to the best potential. Behavior starts with leadership, so take the initiative to understand the diversity in your workforce and how to reach the best goals set forth in the organization's diversity plan. Thank you.